do anyone know when the term AI been coined? Anyone knows the word AI? Yep. Yes. Oh, you're going to Google now. No. So, well, it's actually started away 70 years ago. The term has been used 70 years ago, first coined, but it was very technical. It to I think the discovery then to look at how scientifically you can replicate human's mind or brain, right? So that was the scientific research then. But today, when you talk about AI, it's transformed to something different, right? And for all the business students here, and I know some of you are entrepreneurship course students, am I right? Is there any other students who are from other programs or schools? Yeah, from other schools, welcome. So I assume most of them you are here to hear and understand about the next wave or the next trend, which is AI. So, so thank you again for being here. Later we'll hear from our two distinguished speakers, and you're able to get engaged on what's happening in especially in the startup space. So when you talk about AI, it's not the future. We're not talking about something that is going to come in the next few years. It's already here. You are in the AI age. So a lot of you are already using ChatGPT. You're already using AI tools. So it's here. And why this topic today is important to you today, because that's going to shape your future. Because some of you want to be an entrepreneur, some of you want to be innovator, some of you want to work for companies. The employers today are looking for those who with the skills, we able to be able to adapt this one of the key skills, which is the AI. So just giving some context, some figures. I was looking at some of the economic impact of AI. And if you look at by 2030, AI is projected to add over 15 US trillion in the global economy, which is actually exceeding China's GDP, right? So it's a huge industry that's coming, and some of you are already experiencing that. So it's not about speeding up your task, but also about it's trying to understand this force, this powerful force that is coming, and how it's redefining industries, jobs, and also skills. So be aware of what's happening out there. I also did a bit of a search about what's happening in Vietnam, because as you're all probably aware, Vietnam is one of the emerging market in Southeast Asia, and the GDP is growing, doubling every time. So just to give you some context in Vietnam, so Vietnam is embracing AI. We are in that space. We are also transforming a lot of the sectors from finance to agriculture, right? And also looking at some numbers. And this is a figure that I got, probably not the latest, but this is 2023 from a consulting company called IMARC, IMARC. And what they have projected that by 2032, the industry for AI in Vietnam will be over 2 billion US dollars. So why is that important to you? Because you're going to go to that market in the next few years once you graduate. So it's important for you to understand what's going to be, how the AI is going to affect the job, the future job, as well as the industry. So, and there are four things that you need to be aware, and you need to constantly ask these four things. The essence of human creativity, how far can we create, and how far AI can create. And the other thing about AI is about decision making. So a lot of you'll use sometimes make a decision, right? To go for holidays or to buy a food or to buy a clothing. You Google and try to get AI to give you some suggestions. So, and how your decision process is going to change. And also, what are the challenges? So challenges today, and if you Google now to find what are the challenges in the next 5 to 10 years, AI will not able to predict this because we don't know what's happening. And this is something that you'll hear from our speakers later, and you can ask them how they are predicting the future. And also to look at the various factors that define the product or service rules. So that's the reason why our topic today, we are looking at startups. Startups are very different. They are very in the earlier stage, but they're very agile. They're able to adopt and adapt to the environment. So today's discussion for all of you is not something that is just for your classes or your assessment, but it's something very important for you to think about your future, right? So it's not just for those who are, if you are from engineering school or computer science, it's not just the technical side, but it's also important for what we call budding entrepreneurs. So most of you are student entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs. You might be wondering what's happening out there. So these are some of the questions I want to leave you to think about while the session is going. And the four questions that, well, three I have for you is, how will AI technologies influence your career, your job, or your business launch or growth in the future? So what are the new paradigms of value creation when machines can think more than you? So what they can do and how they can write and design the future. And also how as human and you and I will remain relevant, resilient, and also being strategic in this impact of AI. So just remember that, and then remember AI cannot replace entrepreneurs. You can ask the other two entrepreneurs and talk to a lot of entrepreneurs out there. AI has not replaced them. They just need to adopt and adapt to the environment. So but it will replace those who fail to adapt it. So make sure you are able to understand, and I believe all of you all are able to do that because you're in that generation. So with the unprecedented uncertainty comes unparalleled uncertainty opportunity in the AI era. So be productive today, not just listening to our speakers, but also I know some of you all are taking notes. I know all the laptops are up, you're recording, but not just taking notes, but also think and also ask questions. This is a fantastic opportunity for you to engage with our two speakers and experience in that space of AI. They can tell you some of the trends that's happening and they're aware of that. So please do that during the session. Engage with the session. It's very difficult to find industry speakers during in the morning, and they have given their time here to be here with us to share their thoughts. So, uh, you know, get as much insights from them. So with that, I want to thank our two speakers. It'll be introduced soon, Mr. George Nguyen and also Mr. Daniel Nguyen, who are here today. And thank you for your time and sharing your insight and experience. And also, I want to thank the organizing team. Our the business school team members are here. Thank you for putting this event. And also, I want to thank our supporting partners. For students who are interested, you probably have seen a student idea outside. It's also part of our initiative in RMIT to harness that new innovation through Spark Hub, which is our new initiative that we started last year. If you want to know more about Spark Hub, there are some students here and also can talk to us outside if you are interested in creating or trying to be an entrepreneur in the future. So, and also I want to thank our other partners, our alumni, career alumni in industry relations office for their support. So with this, I thank all of you for being here. I'm waiting to hear from our panel members and enjoy the session and make sure ask questions, right? Thank you and have a good time.
So thank you, Dr. Justin, for the warm welcome. So first of all, let's hear from our first speaker of the day. He is the CEO and co-founder of Resonance Technology, a passionate voice in Vietnam's fast-growing AI startup ecosystem. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Daniel Nguyen, co-founder CEO of Resonance Technology.
Thank you, Chan. Thank you, Doctor. It's my second time speaking in RMIT. The last time I think I spoke at a marketing class. Right. My name is Daniel. I'm the CEO, co-founder of Resonant Technology. Actually, I do two jobs. The first job is to run a technology company that focuses in AI. We've been working in AI in the last 5 years. We were among the first company in Vietnam to be the partner with OpenAI when they first launched GPT-3, which is before ChatGPT released. So we've been building software and sell it globally for roughly around 4 years now. So that's my first job. The second job is I'm a technology partner of other hedge fund called Web Technologies. The hedge funds focus purely on investing in AI supply chain stocks in US and China. And so that's my job. But enough about me. Today, I want to share with you a few things. And since I only have 10 minutes, I'm gonna share it in graph, right? I think graph is probably the best way to show a story. How do you just click next? No. Okay. Well, this is a story of the, the acceleration of technology. Okay. Wow. If you look at this graph, you'll see that our entire life have taken for granted of all the technology that have given you that you use every day. Okay. And it's starting from 1014, right? 1014, 1400, in the year 1400. And this is way back. And I actually discount all of the technology innovation that come before that. I only start at the year 1400, and it was printing press. And why was it an incredible technology advancement at that time? Well, because back in those days, 2000, in the year 1400, it was called the Dark Age of Europe, and people are not able to actually learn or share knowledge of any way possible. So the only way for them to share knowledge is written document, right? Besides just being able to share with each other by through talking, they can only share knowledge by writing it out in paper and then sending it in. And other people have to write another copy of that piece of paper to share knowledge to each other. And then it comes to the printing press. And what the printing press does is that it allows it allows knowledge to be written down and spread out at the rate that is 1,000 times faster than a human could ever done using handwriting. Okay? And so at some point in your past, the printing press was the most innovative product of all time and is revolutionized the way information flow for human. And that was 1400. But then it took 200 years until the next innovation happened, which is telescope. 200 years. That was me, and then my kid, and then my kid's kid, and then my kid's kid, for them to get the next innovation. For something breakthrough that the first time humans were able to look up the sky and see that, wow, they're a star and we're not the center of the universe. That's a huge advancement. And then from there, all the way until 150 years later, it was the steam engines and the light bulb and the telephone. But then as you can see, something happened around this area. When it started, you have electricity, you have a combination of so many different technologies that kind of combine together. It get to a point we call them the exponential point. And the exponential point happens somewhere around this part, where they discover oil, they have electricity, and therefore they have light bulb, they have telephone, so that communication can be transformed, and you can talk to someone from thousands of miles away for the first time. Before that, you have to write handwritten letter. You give it to some sort of bird, and they will fly over and then send it over. Okay, and that was how information sent then. And yet, somewhere around this year, things start to change. And only by 1969 was the first time man was able to get on the moon. Okay? And so just think about that to put into perspective of technology innovation. But then from that point onward, you got into the next phase of technology innovation. And that was when we create personal computer, right? So before that was paper, you're writing stuff, you send it to other people, have to write it and then copy and duplicate. And then the printing press, where you write it down and people print it and then send it across. And finally, when personal computer happened, you can actually put it on a form that is not paper. It could just be on a computer and you can send it. You type it with a much faster rate than typing. You send it and you copy it. So it's a lot faster. And then you got cell phone. And then eventually, by the year 1998, you got Google. Okay? And this is now, it's transformed the way you access knowledge. For the first time, you can be anywhere on earth and you can search for any type of information that happened any other place. That's insane. If you ask your grandmother when she was born, how did she get knowledge? Oh, it's from a teacher maybe a few houses away. And how does that teacher get knowledge? Oh, maybe from a teacher that is a few houses away. So the knowledge was condensed through just a few simple human. But yet, with the rise of technology, with internet, with Google, for the first time, it was just 20 years away, okay? You guys was born, what, 2007? Okay, I was born 88. So I'm quite old already, but yet considering the rate of technology, I'm still very young. But you look at this, you'll see that things start to change really fast, right? And when Google happened, everything take off. Take off to the point of when? 2022. And the moment come again, which is called the ChatGPT moment. And for the first time, you guys or me is not only get to access information from somewhere else, we get to just ask, right? When you first use ChatGPT, you realize that, oh my gosh, this is different because you could just ask and it will compile, it already learned all the knowledge that is ever was written and ever was learned in the human history, and it will just give you the answer in the most simple format. And if the answer is so complicated, you could just ask, explain for me like I'm 5, and it will do it for you. Is that crazy? And so can you imagine now? I just want to give you a perspective. If this rate continue, where will this lead to? Okay, the line is now it's no longer linear. It really is just straight up. Okay, so that's the first graph I want to share with you, so you have a good perspective, because most of us, including myself, take technology, take everything you have every day, take the fact that you can pull out your phone, you can text your friend and send anything, ask an AI to do this and that. That's insane. Okay, I want to tell you guys that that's insane. So take that in perspective. The first thing. Now, the next thing of this story. Oops. For the first time in human history, again, this graph is the number of days to 1 million, from 1 million to 100 million users by technology. Okay, so the number of days that a software or any kind of product that got from 1 million to 100 million users. And if you look at this, you'll see that Netflix took 3,500 days. Twitter, Facebook, Spotify, roughly around 1,500 to 2,000. Okay, Instagram got about 1,000, and then you got ChatGPT, which took less than 2 months. I remember it was, you can't even count the day. It was just lightly stretched off. It's around here, and they got to 1 million, roughly here, and then you got to 100 millions. It's roughly there. It's insane. You start seeing that the earlier, so the closer the technology now get to where we are, the faster it is to get adopted across the world, right? So somewhere, for example, Twitter or Facebook, when they first started, it took them forever until they can get to 100 million users, right? But with ChatGPT, it's roughly 2 months. And really, you live in a time where if any new features that happen with ChatGPT in the US, the next morning you wake up, you have that on your phone as well. So the constraint of geographic is no longer there, right? And it's not just you. Any kid, let's say in Kabang or let's say anywhere in the mountainside, they will get the same thing. So that's part of the reason you are in a time where you have access to any person on this earth, not just here. So let's say you talk about market, let's say market potential, right? A lot of us will think market potential in like, okay, man, maybe it'll be Ho Chi Minh, maybe Hanoi, maybe Vietnam. I want to sell online. But the matter of fact is, this is the first time in human history you actually have access to 9 billion people on Earth. Okay, 9 billion people on Earth. Anything you do or anything update you do over the web, someone anywhere on Earth will get it at the same amount of time. All right, so that's the second slide. This is the slide in which I thought was the most impressive and crazy. So ChatGPT released in 2022, and if you talk to ChatGPT then, it was kind of still dumb, right? You still like, yeah, you cool, but you're dumb. But then progressively in the last 2 years, you start to see the intelligence get even more intelligent. And you start to feel like, even for me, I'm the dumb one and not them, right? I'm the dumb one and it's not the AI. So it's, for me, for example, for 20 years, I mean, for 33, 36 years now, living on Earth, I'm very proud of myself with my intellectual capability. But yet, when I start using AI now, today, I start to feel like I'm the bottleneck. and not the AI. So for the first time, we create a tool that is roughly somewhere smarter than the average human. That's insane. You look at it, you see here, when all the model of AI gets so smart, there's a bunch of really smart people, right? They're all PhD in different field. They come together and they create an exam. It's called Humanity's Last Exam. This is supposed to be the hardest exams that human can create, right? PhD from sociology, from psychology, from mathematics, from science, from whatever. They come together and put together a 3,000 questions, set up questions to challenge this AI model and say that this is our last exam. And if you can cross all this, then we're done. Okay? And this is where we are at this rate. In April 2024, GPT-4o, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, these are the one of the best model at the time. They score less than 5%. That was a year ago. April 2024 is a year ago. And at that same time this year, which is roughly February 2025, the newest OpenAI deep research model was able to score nearly roughly 27% of this test. So you see a picture here, right? You start seeing a picture here, is that somewhere along the line, AI is now roughly smarter than average all of us combined together. And if you use them, and if you know how to use them, you start seeing it happening in front of your eyes. You can ask them really difficult questions. And the thing is, it will scale as your difficulty of your question get. Like, for example, if I ask a negotiation term, oh, this is going to be the term sheet that I'm working with. We have two partners. The first partner want to do this. The second partner want to do this. What is with a split percentage of ABC? They will come up with a solution that I never thought of. So that's where we at. Okay. Hopefully this will. Okay. This is another one that's sort of like more practical. This graph is around average number of minutes to complete a task with and without generative AI. So as you can see here, these are all the tasks that likely all of you are going to be doing when you graduate from school. Hopefully you still get to do it, but I doubt it. I doubt that by the time you graduate from school, any of these tasks will be done by human. But I want to share the current progress for you. This is where it is. Writing, active learning, critical thinking, learning strategies, so on and so forth. This is the number of minutes when you use generative AI. This is the number of units that you don't use. So on average, if you use generative AI, it saves you roughly about 4 times of the time to do any of these tasks. Okay? Why do I share this? Because I want you to know that, one, AI is accelerating at speed that is unprecedented in the human history. That's the first point. The second point is AI is the first tool human ever create that are smarter than you and me combined together. The third thing is, that's the good news and also is the bad news. You will not get to do a lot of things that you traditional think you will do, or your parents say that you will do when you graduate. So therefore, you need to really learn how to utilize AI. The earlier, the better, right? The earlier, the better. Okay, these are the tasks. And the final one, this is one of the most impressive, because I love Tesla, and this is the most impressive graph I'll show you today, is you are going to see driving is one of the first tasks likely to be replaced by a robot, okay? So you know Tesla is always working on self-driving. And in self-driving car, there's one very important matrix that they measure, and it's called mileage until disengagement. What it does, what it means is when you drive a Tesla car, you turn on self-driving, you essentially let it drive for as long as possible. And then they will measure the amount of mileage until you have to put your hand on the controller and say, oh, hey, stop. Okay? So this is where we were. This is the first version, 11.3. That's the first version of this software. And it 35 miles until you have to touch on the controller. 11.4, 57. 12.3, 70 miles, 79 miles. 12.5, 85 miles. And then 13.2, almost 800 miles. 722 miles is equivalent to almost the length of you driving from Hanoi to Saigon. You let go of your hand, and the car will drive you from parking lot to parking lot. You don't have to do anything. The car knows exactly where to go, exactly where to park. And that's the most insane stat I could share with you, because driving is likely one of the hardest tasks that you think AI cannot replace human. Okay? So this is where we're heading, right? So this is 5 graphs I share with you at the story I think that will get the most impact to any of you to join this conversation. Thank you.
Mr. Daniel Nguyen for those very powerful insights, I think. So up next, we have another trailblazer in the startup scene, someone who's helping building the AI entrepreneurial ecosystem across Southeast Asia. He's the co-founder and managing partner at JDI One. And please give a big welcome to Mr. George Nguyen.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? Is it good? Just a quick introduction about me. I am also the lecturer of RMIT as well. I had a long history with RMIT. I taught here in 2009 until 2016. I back to industry. I did a little bit of teaching. I run my company. I had a law firm. I run my blockchain projects, a startup, and then 2020 I came back for teachings. So I have a very long history in RMIT as well. And I was the first president of RMIT alumni. All right. So thank you. So in order to continue the conversation, right, as an entrepreneur in the KL environment like this, right, like Daniel told you, instead of looking it with a bad angle, I want you to look at it as an opportunity. You ready? Right? Because there's no choice. You have no choice. You cannot say, nah, I don't want, to live in this AI generation. Forget it. You have to adopt it. But what I want you to do is to look at that with the positive angle. Look at this is where opportunities will be. Yeah? Right. Now, I want to introduce you to another concept called solo founder, right? What is solo founder? Solo founder means that you would do everything by yourself, right? Now, as a startup entrepreneur, in the past, whenever you want to start to run a startup, there's a lot of barriers, right? If you are a business person, you have to look for a technical person called CTO, right? And then what next? You have to come up with, ideas, and then you need some kind of research to back for your ideas, right? And then a little bit of mock-up. What's your product would look like? What next? That's what you study at RMIT, validation, right? Bring your idea to validate, and then after that you will get the result, and then you start another cycle. Keep doing that until you get your product into the market. So it takes a lot of resources, and it's quite challenging, right? So lack of resource for support, right? And then time for market for validation will be limited as well. Limited asset to funding, investor, and partner as well, right? There's a lot of difficulty. Now, let me tell you, I was in the crypto industry in 2017, right? And this is a very true story. The solo founder happen in the crypto industry quite often because that's the industry that can facilitate this model. Now, let me introduce you Daniel. He's the founder of a protocol called Wonderland Finance. Yeah. So Daniel, actually, he was in the finance industry. He has no ideas about, programming, right? So he studied the programming his own. And he's run the community, he raised fund, and he's controlled the community on his own. And he single-handed run the protocol reached to 1 billion US dollar by himself before hiring the first staff. Yeah, amazing. Yeah. So you see, solo founder is the concept not easy for people to be engaged with to start with. So that's why I just wrote here, right? It's happened for crypto, but for Web 2, historically only in crypto, right? The solo founder concept is feasible now because of the AI. So AI remove all the resource and time barrier and enable you to start the startup on your own. So when you look at this, right, this is the screenshot that when Daniel reached his protocol reached to 1.5 billion US dollar. Everything's done and built by himself. Now, because I am teaching here in MIT with the course called Applied Entrepreneurship, and this is what you have to go through, something called design thinking. Yeah. So if you, I think you guys are already familiar with this model, right? So you have to go through the empathy map, you have to define, you have to ideate, and you have to make prototype, and finally you have to do some testing, validation, right? So what happened is now everything can be done by AI and by yourself only. So when you go to the empathy map, you have a lot of AI that can facilitate that. Look at this. You get Jada, you got Monkey Learn. It helps you to understand the user, collect information from the user and analyze that and give you the empathy map in which you will understand what they say, what they feel, what they think, and what likely will be the demand, right? And then when it comes to the definition, you have a number of analytic AI platforms that help you to come up and discuss with you about it, the problem, the definition of that problem. And finally, when you come up with idea, you don't need a partner now, right? Because when you talk to the partner, it's going to be the same when you talk with another AI tool, ChatGPT, and ChatGPT even smarter than person, right? So there's a number of platforms that facilitate you from doing that. Now, in the past, the prototype is the hardest one because if you don't have design skill, you don't know how to mock up, right? You don't know how to code. This can be done by AI as well. So I'm very proud to share you visually. Visually is the mock-up platform in which you just screenshot whatever web app or mobile app. You pull it in, it will generate for you the exact, mock-up with what you want. You can just edit and drag and drop and revise that. And this platform is the platform belong to the former lecturer of MIT. Yeah. So his name is Bo, and he was my former colleague at IT department long time ago. He talked with me in MIT 2009. He moved to the state, and then he started his startup, and one of the startups he started called Visually AI. Yeah, very proud of the MIT community. Next one, the same thing. But the second platform not only is give you the mockup, but it's also generate the HTML, the front end code for you. You don't need to do anything. Yeah. And the third one, more powerful. So it's the AI IDE. IDE means the coding environment. What you have to do, you need to prompt the AI what to do. It will generate the code and will generate the complete application for you just by prompting. It's crazy, right? So in my Applied Entrepreneurs course, I already introduced these to my students, and hopefully that you now can start doing with that. Let me show you one thing. With the cursor.com, an 8-year-old girl can code an application, the messenger, where you can chat with the AI just in 20 minutes. Yeah. And in this picture, you see, there are 3 guys. They came up with some idea, and they wrote down the idea, and they started to code with the cursor.com here. And they completed social media platform in 100 minutes. So imagine something happened like this. it's even smarter now, and you guys can come up with idea, and you guys can work on that now at the same that they did. It's amazing. Now, when you finish the prototype, the next phase will be testing. So where you're gonna validate, yeah. So there are a number of other platform here. You can just surf it later. You can validate the software. Now, when I teach this course to students, they got some kind of difficulty when they need to go out, run the survey, right? They had to find people to run survey. But let's imagine something gonna be more crazier. Now, in the industry, we also had digital twin. Do you know the concept digital twin? It's gonna be the clone of you. You can build yourself, right? And in the future, instead of running the survey with people, with human, we will run that through the digital twin. Yeah. So like Daniel just shared with you, it's gonna be scary because became more redundant now. Now, the future of surveys, that is the concept of digital twin, right? So it's the replicas of people, and it is powered by agent AI. We call agentic AI, right? So it's clone of you. The more you train them, the more they become like you. It becomes smarter and smarter. Yeah. Most of the company that I work with, the SME, the startup, they already automate their social channel by agent AI already. Yeah. So the message of me to you guys is you guys need to be ready. Yeah. It's run very fast. It changes very fast, and you need to be ready. Um, so instead of looking at this at the barrier or something very scary, I want you to look at this as the opportunity. At my time, Daniel time, we start startup. We run the startup, and we need to find up resource. We need to find partner. We need to know where to be in touch with the investor, the community, and then we hire people. We got staff, but then now you don't need to, right? So I want you to start thinking and try to catch up with the speed of the chain of AI and take the opportunity yourself.
Thank you so much, Angel, for the insightful presentation. And now it's time for our panel discussion, a deep dive into AI entrepreneurship and the future of innovation. So moderating today's conversation is Dr. Cherry Sriratana Viriyakun. I tried my best. Lecturer in entrepreneurship at RMIT Vietnam. Please welcome our speakers back on stage as we begin this exciting conversations.
So good morning, everyone, and thank you all for being here. And after hearing that inspiring stories from Daniel and George, it was really intriguing, isn't it? I mean, a lot of movement that has been done within a short time. Yes, so now they are really deeply involved into AI and Vietnam entrepreneurship, eco startup systems in Vietnam here. So we wanted to hear a lot more from them through our discussion. So we're going to look at this topic in entrepreneurship in the AI age, new rules for startup success. So throughout this discussion, then we will explore how AI is transforming startups, the impact on industries. We're going to look at the opportunities and challenges that entrepreneurship face in the AI-driven future. So let's get started. We are going to divide our discussion into two themes. So the first theme will be about how AI is redefining the startup landscape. And so we will start with George. So we're looking at AI startups build AI as their core products, right? So other startups may use AI as the way to enhance their business models. And so, how should entrepreneurs determine which approach aligns best with their vision?
So like I said, right, startup is not like traditional SME where we have no ideas what's going on. what happened is we need to keep validating the business model, right? And now, in the past, it takes you a lot of time to go out and to do research and to interact. Now, AI helps you a lot in terms of you reforming your ideas and somehow validating at practical level. And all the tools and platform already there that you can actually hook in order to take you up the community that already available in the market in order to help you to validate your model.
Okay. Yes, sure.
Sorry, I want to add on a little bit. If you do startup, you realize that the faster you iterate, the faster you have that feedback loop, the faster you realize that you failed at some idea, you can actually redo it. So one of the way, I think one of Josh was saying very absolutely correct is if you could speed up the rate in which you fail, and then you can iterate really quickly, you actually gain an edge. Because nobody, I can tell you that no entrepreneur out there that actually do and succeed with the first idea. Okay, so failure is the must be done. It's not like, oh man, I don't want to fail. It's the condition in which you have to get used to, and you want to fail as fast as possible, and then get back as fast as possible, and then you iterate that idea as fast as possible, as many times as possible, until suddenly the market say, oh, I like that. Okay, so I think that's the central idea.
Yes, I think that's really good. I mean, so we are testing and then we go along the way, adapt based on the market demands, and that's the way to go. So I mean, we're looking at the AI startup or the any other business that is using AI. So I mean, what is your thoughts on this? I mean, should we go on as a startup that use AI? Like, I mean, like kind of implementing AI for other businesses or
Oh, I think this question might be going to be suitable with Daniel because AI now we have two. We might categorize into different way, right? If that's the AI, core technologies, or you
Mhm.
just the application using AI.
Um, so to answer this, I think you need to have a good understanding of what layer of AI you are in. So in AI, there's a stack. You start with hardware. Hardware is company like NVDA and TSMC. You heard about NVDA, right? Any of you guys play games here? You know NVIDIA, right? You buy their amazing sort of graphic card, right? And then somewhere along the way, they realize that they can use this graphic card to train AI really well because they can do billions and billions of computational uh, calculation at one point. So that's really suitable with training AI. So that's the first layer, which is hardware. Company that create the chips to train the AI and also to run the AI on. And that's NVIDIA, that's AMD, that's Intel, and then the company that manufacture those chips, and that's TSMC. In the world right now, there's only one company that actually could create and build those chips. Okay, but that's a different topic. So then you have hardware stack designing the chips, manufacturer stack, which is a company that make the chips. You got infrastructure stack, which is company that build data center to house those chips. So you heard on the news, you see Google investing 80 billions in data center, or like you talk about a lot of data center. What does it mean? Well, essentially is the house in which they store all these chips, and these chips are used as brain for people to train AI models like ChatGPT, like Claude or Gemini that you are using, and that is the infrastructure stack. And when all that stack is done, you get the top layer, which is application stack. This is where you start building stuff that, like for example, content writing AI chatbot. Okay, that's we call application. All right. So when the internet was created, it's the same thing happened. First, it was an idea, and then they build infrastructure for it, which is a bunch of data center. And then when internet gets so large and then so cheap, you start seeing application on it, which is Facebook, Airbnb, you're using Uber, you're using Grab now. Those are application. So the likelihood of you guys are working on application is the highest to me. Okay, I don't think any one of you guys are thinking of, oh, I wanna design a custom AI chips, or I want to do hardware. If you do, that's great, but Vietnam is probably not the best place for you to do that. All right, go somewhere, Taiwan, US, you will get the best place for that. But if you do application, you can do anything in any way. Okay, so you guys likely to be in the application. But in application, there's two ways. So the first is you create an AI application to solve a common problem. For example, a chatbot that helped you write stuff faster or write email faster. That's an application. But then there's another application which is implementing AI into a company, because company has different data. They have their proprietary data that any of this model don't have. For example, no model will have your báo cáo tài chính, your financial statement of your parents' company, right? For example, or they don't have the manual handbook for your employee. So you want to be able to, any of this company want to implement AI, they want to be able to kind of get that, train the AI on it, and then create values from it. So that is application separate into two. Okay, so choose wisely which one you want to play on. But both of these have pros and cons, and both will have a huge market opportunity going from this point forward.
Thank you very much, Daniel. That's very
So
insightful.
let me add on a bit. So to clarify this, in Vietnam we have two accounting system. It's totally different from the world. And when it comes to that, AI have to be trained again to solve that problem. You cannot apply from the outside. And also the legal system in Vietnam quite complicated. You have many overlap, policy here and there, and they need to be trained again. So this is the picture where you can apply AI in order to solve the Berkeley problem.
Yeah, so I would just take it from that. I mean, we're looking at what is the technologies we have, what is the demand out there, and we look for gaps that we can fill in. That would be your opportunities as an entrepreneurs. Yes, thank you very much. Well, before we move on, I just would like to point out this QR code that you can scan it and ask, put in your questions. We're going to be answering it at the end of our session in the Q&A. Okay, along any time at all, you could do that. Yes. So moving on, AI is rapidly transforming industries like legal services, finance, healthcare, education, even. So, what strategies should startups in these sectors adopt to stay competitive and leverage AI effectively? Maybe we'll ask from Dan first.
So, I mean, we look at AI. What's I will tell you a story, very funny story. Is when ChatGPT just released, I think a bunch of my friends who is software developer, and they look at the first model, the first version, which is 3.5, and they're like, man, now we are going to be in the next technology advancement, and the demand for people like me are going to be even more. I'm going to make a lot more money. Very funny that in 2 years after that, the demand for junior software developer is lowest ever in the history, simply because you look at this model and you use tools that Josh was sharing, cursors and all that stuff, you realize, oh my gosh, you don't really need to know how to code anymore. You just need to talk to a model, almost like speak something out of existence. And it's weirdly scary. And front-end developer, which is people who design HTML for the website, is no longer relevant. So the first industry you want to see a huge impact is going to be coding industry. You'll start seeing that as model gets smarter, they solve better and bigger problem with longer memory. It's going to be scary. But along with the questions, you got legals, you got content writing, you got all that. I think they will go through two phases. The first phase is going to be working with AI, right? So any junior analyst of any hedge fund firm or any law firm are going to be able to use AI to speed up or gain better productivity of their own decision making. But the second phase is when they realize that at some point, just like a coder, AI could do this job better than themselves. So in order for them to adapt, I think the next phase for any of you guys to do any of the industry, the first thing you want to adapt is actually learn about this tool. Like, do you want to spend, if you have 40 hours working a week, right? Spend the next like 20 hours just trying to figure out what the heck are these AI is. What are models AI? What are the applications that happening right now? What are the tools that actually help you to transform the way you work or faster your productivity? Because it really does now, and it's really insane. I just talked to one of my friends who is a startup founder, very successful yesterday, and he was saying that the first question of interview now that he asks is actually, what AI tool do you use? And why do you use that AI tool for what kind of task? And what percentage of productivity have you gained from using that? That's the first question. It's no longer like, oh, what school do you graduate? So that's the reality of the job markets out there. So I think to answer, it really is just to adapt and learn.
Daniel just pull out my real case. So I have the outsourcing company. So what happened is, not really a year and a half ago, I sat on a panel discussion with ByteDance and NDVA in Singapore. And the question was really that whether AI can replace human job. And I said that maybe the content creator, right, and marketing segment. I was very confident. 1 year later, it replaced the developer, and my company got big impact on that. You know, so in the US, the rate of the junior developer 120 US dollar per hour dropped like to 30 plus, and in Vietnam, we about your 20 to $30 per hour. We was really confusing. We don't know whether we should drop or not. But I was the one who said, let's drop that and apply AI and boost up the progress. But big company, they got a lot of trouble, like FBT. You know what happened? They got the particular quality assurance process. If they charge less, then how about the process? Because they charge because of the human, the labor there. And the process is still involved in this. So it's quite complicated for big corporation to change. For small company like us, we more flexible and to adopt with that, right? So my message to you is, even me, I, I couldn't even predict what happened with AI. So I want you guys to put an eye on that, right? You guys you guys are very lucky because you guys got people like us to engage with you, to share with you this story, and to be, I'm happy to be your mentor later after graduation. Daniel, I think gonna be the same. And yeah, let's keep an eye on that and you use up your opportunity.
Add one more point, and it's true. Don't ask us to predict future. We couldn't either. Really, really. I mean, a year ago, I was working in AI. I live and breathe it every day. Okay, you ask me any topic in AI in hardware, software, manufacture, I know everything about it. And even ask me to predict, really can't.
Yes, thank you very much. So, I mean, it's again back to the questions where we are looking at AI as, I mean, very unpredictable, and that capabilities that is just beyond imagining. And we are just at the beginning of understanding it. I mean, we're not like way at the top or understand the whole journey. So businesses integrate generative AI in varying degree, from basic automation to full scale AI driven, as we talk about it. So we said that we have to adopt AI. So, but how should startup assess that AI adoption strategy? Like, how much should they leverage that to maximize efficiency and impact?
Um, so right now, for me, for example, the question is how a business assess the impact of AI. Again, there's a few level. The first level is, for example, when AI first released, I asked all my staff to learn how to use AI. Doesn't matter what, we can do after 1 week. Report to me, what is it that you did? What tool do you use, and how much did it impact their work? First step is to get used to the fact that they now have an assistant that likely is smarter than themselves, so that they can create better output than they would normally, and faster output with larger uh, return. Okay, so that's the first phase. Get used to general purpose kind of application out there. The second phase is, okay, how do we now apply it into our internal operation? That's a work of what we're doing with very big enterprise in Vietnam, because big enterprise in Vietnam, they have ginormous amount of database, and they want to be able to train AI on those database to turn it into a chat GPT of their organization. Because if they just, for example, we're working with a bank and they have 11,000 employees. And one of the problem is, because they have 11,000 employees, their internal process is so complicated, with a lot of documents teaching people how to use their internal documents, right? So because of the complication of that internal operation, they can't just ask ChatGPT to do that work for them. So what we have to do when we came in is that we have to train our AI models so that they can learn all of these internal documents, organize in a way that a human would do it, and then basically create an assistant within that bank for anyone who have any issue. Just come in and chat with that AI. But the AI will answer only within the knowledge of that organization. And you'll see, just like how people try to adopt with the internet, AI is going to be the same way. So, like I said, that is a big gap. If you can fulfill, it's a very big gap that you can actually look into. So,
For me, I cannot answer, how many percent or what any framework to evaluate that because we don't have, right? Anybody here trade crypto or stock? Hands up if you trade crypto or stock. No? For people who do the trading in crypto or stock, when you heard the news, it's already late. So what I share with you is don't wait until you heard the news that you have to transform. You're late already. So the company now in the situation of this fast changing environment, you need to be flexible. Try, validate. Yeah. Don't assume anything. Don't don't put assumption. Assumption is terrible. Just try to understand, involve, validate it.
Yes, thank you very much. So because it's changing all the time, AI, and then developing still. So our key is to test, to validate, and adapt based on the situation. That would be the way to go, isn't it? Yes. I would like you to share with us like a Vietnam AI startup ecosystem because as it is growing and we have strong government support, we have expanding technology workforce, we have more influx of investment in Vietnam at the moment. So how would you describe or share with us your insights on the Vietnam startup ecosystems on this field?
since we got invested 1.5 millions in 2021. So I think I could share with you a very honest story of how startup ecosystem now in Vietnam. I think is for one, we are at a very vùng trũng, gọi là gì nhỉ? Like low value, but sorry, I don't just this word I just don't know, but like if you are 25 years old, if I was 25 years old and I'm really seeing this AI, I'm not going to be in Vietnam. You know, I would fly to San Francisco. This is where all the action happened. But now that we happen to be in Vietnam, why I say that? The first thing is, um, opportunity is there, but you really need to work hard in order for you to get funding. Okay, because when money is very expensive in US, the likelihood of investor right now is actually very difficult decision for you to fundraise. So when you think of doing startup, fundraising is the first thing. You have an idea, that's cool. Is your idea validated? Does it have customer? Because you have to kind of check a lot of boxes. When we were in 2021, there's company that is just an idea and they got money. But now you cannot just have an idea and got money. You have to have an idea, you have to build something, you have to validate it in a sense, you have to have some sort of revenue stream, and then you come talk to an investor. And the investor will then become very picky and they will ask you blah 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 all kind of question. Is there a potential for you to scale? Okay, so it's very difficult now versus let's say 3 years ago. But the good news is it's also a lot easier for you to do all of that part. You have an idea, you can actually sit down with AI and build a prototype in like a day. And with that prototype, you can just send it out to 1,000 people. Utilize social media. You guys are probably so much better at social media than any of us combined. We're so old, right? But you go on Twitter, you go on TikTok, you have all that, and you can actually advertise your idea. And if there's engagement, then you actually use that engagement to build a better prototype. And you can do that cycle of feedback loop so much faster than we were back in 2020 or 2021, right? Because you have AI. So then the next phase is when you do that, you will be able to access with better investor, with better funding. And then from there, you will actually can do other stuff. But the first thing of any startup is funding. And I'll tell you today is that in order for you to get funding is so much difficult. So you have to check a lot of more box before you get to the point where you got the funding.
That's true. I was in the crypto industry, the two pool markets already, right? When you heard about crypto, then you might think like raising money in the crypto quite easy, right? It's not easy. It's quite crazy, uh, unless you know the rule of the game. Uh, one year, I mean, last year and recently, the investment in the stock scenes is quite difficult. So there's a lot of situation where startup need to go the other way around. They build community first. They validate idea first. And when they got a community, they will run like Indiegogo in order to get the commitment from the community for like depositing. And then from that, they will start doing some MVP and try to deliver and distribute to the customer, the very first customer, and bring back that to investor. It's more feasible compared to the previous approach.
Yes, thank you very much. And I think this relate that triggered me because I mean there was a student asking me before, like, hey, let's say Cherry, we go for a fundraising round to pitch the idea, and the investors say no, but they use my idea for their own startup. What would happen?
Idea is cheap. Seriously, idea is super cheap. I can hear 1,000 of ideas. I can hang out with Dan and then had a beer. I have 100 of ideas you never heard before. Doesn't mean that the word not exist those ideas. It's a lot already. Execution is the core thing, right? Like Dan say, in this industry, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to be resilient, need to be brave.
Please don't be attached to an idea. If you talk to any hedge fund manager, it's very funny because since I'm partner with a guy who do it, and he say that one of the key thing when you go to invest any stock is do not get attached to any stock. It's the same thing with your idea. Idea is very cheap. So oh my gosh, you have an idea, and you think, oh my gosh, it's the most amazing idea ever, and you think about it all day and night, and in your brain you create a bunch of bias. Oh, it has to be that way, and then you build something, you bring it out, and the market slap you in the face, and you come back and you cry, you're like, oh my gosh, why is it like that? Life is so unfair. Just don't. Just think of idea as like the first start, okay, and then act on it really fast. The speed of iteration and the speed of feedback loop is actually your friend. So failure is your friend, idea is not. Really, failure is your friend, idea is not. Okay.
Very much. So now we're going to move to theme 2, where we are going to be looking at opportunities and challenge in the future. So we will start out with AI shifting perspective on work, processes, investment, business operations. And so we want to look at what are common assumptions, perspective that people have about AI that you think is, yes, that has changed in the last few years.
Um, what is the common assumptions or belief that was changed in the last few years since the beginning of AI? I think the first thing is I wrote a piece on this, and it said there's no moat. Moat is what? Moat is MOAT. Okay, MOAT is a very key phrase in any startup. It's a comparative advantage that no other people have over you. Okay, and it's a powerful phrase when it comes to startup or any technology company. For example, Google search is a moat. In 20 years since the beginning of Google, 98% of search traffic was actually just Google. Bing invests billions and billions of dollars, Yahoo invests billions of dollars, and yet everyone come back to Google to search for information, right? We grow up with Google, and that's the definition. Just Google it, right? And so search is their mode. Well, until ChatGPT happened, it's no longer the mode. You start seeing now, I mean, I have a revelation the other day. I woke up in the morning and I realized that, oh my gosh, in the last 4 days, I did not use Google once. Is that crazy? That's the most insane thing I could think of. And I realized that I actually use AI to ask a bunch of questions more than I use Google nowadays. So suddenly, the mode was once indestructible, become not really, right? And then another day, I see now AI models. OpenAI was invested, I think by now roughly $60 billion, $60 billion company, and was expected to develop the most advanced AI model ever exist on Earth. Okay, and they were successful for a while until this little small tiny company in China with just 200 developers create a model that is smaller and 1,000 times cheaper and as smart. It's called DeepSeek. And so suddenly, every investor in US was like, dude, I gave you $80 billion, and then suddenly a company that have no one know develop model that as good as you and cheaper. There's no moat. Meanings what? It's and then well, another example. Google has everything. They have data, they have compute, they have the best engineer ever. And about 2 years ago, they developed a video generation model, okay, about a year ago. And yet, another company called Run AML, they got like $30 million invested. Small, tiny company, but yet they were able to train a model that is better in generating videos than Google. So like, when you think of all these big company, Meta, Google, Netflix, so on and so forth, you think of all the things that they have as moat. Suddenly now is not really there anymore. Okay, so that's one of the first kind of really believe that in the past was just 2 years ago and now it's no longer there. Second is people think that AI cannot ever replace human because human have the intuition, right? Human have the intuition to decide on things. But if you really use AI nowadays, well, there's a phrase, I think one of my producer who's also a Gen Z, she was telling me that she's now asking AI to consult on her mental health issue more than if she want to ask her friends. I'm sure many of you know, it's just ChatGPT is your therapist. And as ChatGPT gets smarter, they take on better personality. They can listen to you for longer time. They understand your problem really well. Likelihood is that you probably look for them for emotional support, not really for even logical support. So
Yeah, especially they don't argue with you, right? They just listen only, right? That's something parents need to learn. And I think that's true. And people like us, I want you to look at this perspective. When you look at George and Daniel, you think we have advantages, I mean, competitive advantage in terms of starting a startup. Now that advantage become lower. You can be the same. That changed already, right? You have a lot of tools to support you. Yeah. So don't just hesitate to start something your own.
Yes, thank you very much. I think that that's really true, like emotional support. Like I was just sharing with them earlier before our session started that my daughter is speaking to ChatGPT when I don't have time for her when I'm maybe like cooking or cleaning. And then there started to be like what it appear is that the more you talk to your ChatGPT that you logged in, it's sort of like remembering your behaviors because you are training them. You're training that your own version of ChatGPT to know you more, so they know what kind of thing you want to listen to. They know what kind of support you need, and that is the same that is learned from your customers, and they will do the same thing that is providing competitive advantage for your business.
I have daughters and I have my own children, and this is what parents very, bad at. they 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 don't talk to their kids like a friend. Seriously, that is the assumption of parents. They thought they love the kids, they want to be the kids' friend, but in the reality, it doesn't happen the same thing. How many times your son can go home and say, "Hey, yeah, come on, man." That is a slang of a friend, right? Not no, dad, I just home. That's a different language, different gesture. And my son, I want him to be like that with me. He can yell at me. That's the friend is all about.
Yes.
give you a startup idea. So now that you know the new generation are going to be like that, create a sort of software that let the parent control, but then let the kid talk to it. So you train the voice, you have the things, and then the kids come home and talk to the AI, talk to the AI. But then all that data, then now the parents will be able to know. The parents will pay for that.
There we go, your assignment 3.
No, actually, sorry, actually, that is one of the project that last semester, which is I talked to a team. They came up with the idea, and I revised the idea and talked to them. And actually, not for the big kids, right? For the kindergarten, sometimes the psychological mindset of the kids not really stable. But the parent want to know. There's no way. So they came up with a game in which the kid interact with the game and it's collect data in order to understand the psychology stuff with the kids. And the parent will pay incentive for that. If they do more, then they got some kind of credit point and they can use that their credit point to exchange for toys.
Yes. And say they're being generous with ideas because it's about action. Mhm. Yes. A gentle reminder to ask questions through QR code along the way. Okay. You might be like, all over in the queue, so you forget to ask questions. So I'm just reminding you. Okay. So since the AI landscape is evolving rapidly and predicting the future is challenging, like you said, you can't predict what's going to happen very soon. So what emerging opportunities should entrepreneur be paying attention to in the next few years? Just opportunities like
Opportunities everywhere, right? So I just want you to be, more brave, picking it up rather than just select. Because when you say about what opportunity, you already put assumption on that, and this assumption is the dangerous thing of an entrepreneur. So just go ahead. You can talk with a lot of people. You can talk with alumni, people like us to generate ideas. And why don't you just go out and build up communities in order to validate your ideas rather than focus on the idea first and then product prototype, the other way around. To be honest, community now is more important, much more important in the business, in the startup sense.
Um, all right, so I have a few points. The first thing is, um, since there's no mode, meaning that technology is no longer, or the ability to code or create product is no longer the mode that you have. Yeah. So, for example, I'll give you an example. When we create the first software, our mode was that we create one of the best SEO software in the market because of the way we were able to code it, right? But if you given today, that is no longer important. What is mode now? What is really important now is actually distribution. How do you distribute your product to a large enough of uh, of customers? And you have never been fortunate than it is now to have so many different platforms. You got TikTok, you got Facebook, you got Twitter, you got blah blah blah, right? You can leverage that, and if you can actually really create a successful distributing strategy or channel, you actually have a mode in a sense. Okay. So don't focus too much on technology, on like how cool your product is, but focus more on how you can distribute your product at a large enough scales of the mass. That I think is the biggest opportunity because idea is really, I mean, now if the speed of bringing from idea to actual production, it's like days, then bringing product to market is actually more important. In the past, it was like you have to bring into from idea production. That's a huge cost, and then you have to figure out the rest. But if that first part is taken care of, is no longer your constraint, then the second part is going to be your competitive advantage, and you want to do that as fast as possible. And right now, especially in Vietnam, I'm seeing a huge amount of entrepreneur take advantage of a platform like that to do to distribute their software. So really think of, like he said, building community, leveraging on all this platform.
Just adding now, very common now in the market, right? I got a friend in Hanoi. He's built agent AI for the other agency. So I advise the people who do startup, forget about ideas, right? Whatever you think to, you can use agent AI to build a number of different your social channel and just try to bootstrap that. Once it becomes some kind of demand, start thinking about the idea later.
wow, that's really interesting. I mean, it's just a lot of things to take in, isn't it? Yes. I would say our last question said our AI-driven entrepreneurship require adaptability, creativity, and then the way that we understand and familiar with all these AI tools, and also so that's like some technical literacy that we need to have. And I think we can't forget ethics as well, ethical consideration. So how should, I mean, our audience in this room, our future entrepreneurs evolve their skill sets and mindsets to be ready to grab that opportunities to navigate the AI age successfully?
For me, I think to be an entrepreneur, being resilient is the number one, characteristic. I think, like Dan said, you need to fail many times. You need to learn on that, and that is your best friend. Um, the second thing, I think, now in terms of being ethical, probably the lecturer here, we might need, in the short future, near future, we need to really redefine what is being ethical with the flat chain of AI now. What is ethical? How, what is ethic and being ethical? What it is now in the new scene of AI, right? Now, I don't remember. Do you remember last time we talked about, let the student use ChatGPT AI, right? And we talked about plagiarism. And the definition of plagiarism is quite different because we copy from somebody, but ChatGPT is not human. And then every time you ask ChatGPT, it come and it's generate different response. So plagiarism in terms of definition, it to be redefined again, right? So it's quite broad and complicated now. But for me, to be resilient is the number one characteristic of the entrepreneur.
I didn't text. Zero, like all texture. I think there's a few things. I think the first thing I think that is really important for you guys is curiosity. I've never seen any curious person uh fail to adapt at any changing world. I've never seen it. Curiosity, for one, at the moment, is you have no excuse of where you get your knowledge anymore. I mean, it's insane where I just learn everything from AI models nowadays. Basically, I just in the morning, if anything topic, if you look at my list of questions when I chat with, let's say Grok 3, the models that Elon was just create, and it was just random. I just one day I just saw a book. I say, let's do a deep dive in this book because I don't want to spend time reading the whole thing. Let's do a deep dive in this book. Break it down to a different chapter and play a role in which you challenge me on how this concept is truth, and it will teach you. It will do it in a way that you're like, wow, it's you never get that, ever in the past. With Google, you have to search, you have to profile your information, you have to kind of compile it yourself. So the first thing you want, I think you really have to be curious. You have to be very curious about everything around you, externally. The second thing is urgency, right? If I think speed of actions are going to count a lot because you're going to fail a lot. So you want to make actions as your number one priority, not thinking. So you think, yes, but then you act because as you act, you actually learn a lot faster. So you fail and then you're like, okay, what's wrong with the idea? Now you iterate again. So actions, urgency is really important in the age of AI. The third is definitely adaptability, the ability to adapt to a new landscape. Um, Today you use AI and you're like, wow, it's good at this task. Tomorrow it's already replaced you. So you want to be able to really adapt to all the changes and think of change as the only constant in your life. Okay. Even though I know it's more comfortable to think that change is not, but change is the only constant in your life. And the only way to adapt to it is kind of embrace it. Um, I think finally is the ability to constantly find the new truth that challenge your bias. Actually, you live with a lot of bias, so do I. So you want to always look out for truth that actually challenge your bias. And finally is definitely resilience. You want to be matzaya, you have to thick skin. You really have to have thick skin with this world so that you can take on failure easily. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, before we go to questions and answers, do you think I think um, then maybe you could do like a quick demonstrations of the how the AI work that we were just talking about that. I mean, to generate the AI something prompt.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Maybe so that I just would like to demonstrate to students like how easy and fast.
Oh yeah.
I would not say easy because I can't do it.
Wait. Do we have technical students here? We have engineer here.
How many engineers are
Do
here?
you have a software engineer? No. So you guys just entrepreneur, business people. All right. Well, in coding, right? There's a new phrase that was just born just roughly 6 months ago. It's called vibe coding. It sounds very Zen's Alpha and Zen Z. What you guys are Alpha or Z? Z. Okay, you're still Z. Okay, so it's so it's vibe coding, and what it means is you don't code. You just let the model code for you. You just kind of sit there and just like, I want this, I want a, I want a, I want a dog running around and then looking for bones, and then the bones will be hidden in some place, and the dog have to find it. Create a game for me, something like that, and the model will just do it for you. And it's called vibe coding. And this is one of the example of vibe coding. Can you turn it on? There's an X thread. Oh no, the next one. Sorry, this one. This one. So this is Vibe Code with AI completely changed the game. People can't stop creating game with Grok, Windsurf, Cursor, Claude, and this is one of the example. This game was coded 100% by AI. It was not a human intervention. The guy just basically go in there, sit there, and then just type, I want to create a Fortnite game in a Minecraft on 3JS. And with the gameplay ABC, they will be live and this and that. And we'll do it for them. Okay? This is vibe coding. The speed of creation for any digital asset have never been shortened and less of constraint than now. You can scroll down. You can actually scroll down. There's a few more example. Click on red 110 reply, I think. Oh, you have to sign in. All right, never mind. Go back and search vibe coding games. You guys can do it. And this is just game, okay? Soon it will be software, it will be whatever. You see? So this is one of the examples before we go into questions.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's really good. I mean, it's just amazing how it's created and yeah, without human.
There's a guy that built a game, and I think it was in a week, he got $50,000. People just kind of go in and play the game and pay the money. $50,000 on a vibe coding software that was created in 8 hours. That's the world we live in.
Like Dan say, right, the first bias for you guys is you always think, oh, maybe I'm not yet you're ready to do it. Break it. Try to do it.
Yes, that's right. So now let's open the floor to our audience for questions. And I think we've had very insightful discussions so far. You must have been having thoughts or ideas that you want to ask. So we will just go from there. Yes. Yeah. Oh. 5 questions. Okay. Yes. Oh, she's going to, I think, cast it on the TV. Oh, okay. Okay, so we'll first start with the questions, which is, what are the common legal risks associated with AI adoption, and how can startups mitigate them? Legal risk with AI adoption.
In Vietnam, particularly, you don't do anything that's against the current legal framework. No legal risk. That's the definition. No, that's very true. A lot of people worry about that. But from the legal point of view, if they don't forbid you from doing that, you can start doing that. And don't worry too much because AI already changes a lot. And even technology, we are a little bit behind. The legal much more behind what's happening. So just go ahead and do it.
I think because I work with quite a few bigger enterprise. So one of the legal risks is if you were to use their data to train your model or to work on your solution, you want to make sure that that data stay where Yeah, stay with them, and you must make sure that that data has never been leaked out. I think that's the biggest legal risk in terms of for us when we build. Majority of you when you build application, really there's very little legal risk because you are going to utilize large AI model, and the legal risks are already with them, meaning that what data they use to train or pre-train their model. So when you think of application, don't think too much legal risk. I give you an example. Elon Musk, when he trained Grok 3, he has no AI safety. It means that when he released the model, you could actually ask it, how do I build a nuclear bomb? And it will give you step by step, even tell you where to buy all the supplies. Is that insane? But the way he do it is that he used the questions to become the AI safety. So he just launched the model. He let everyone ask all the questions, and then he filtered the questions and say, okay, these questions red flag. Now we're gonna turn it up. It's smart. So legal risk, even with people like Elon, he really did that, and without a lot of legal implication at the moment. So for you guys, when you build application, don't think too much about it unless you either working in model or you are working with proprietary data from any company or enterprise.
Now, normally in this, we call the term, condition, and the disclaimer to disclaim your responsibility. But don't worry, when you got fun, there's a lot of lawyer. They're gonna help you.
Yes, you will be having good mentors after you do all that fundraising, right? Yes, that's great. So the next question is if we can ideate, create, and build a prototype and validate an idea using AI, how the investors will get confidence to invest in my business or idea?
That's a big assumption. Because once you got validated, and I mean, if I mean, I am kind of an angel investor. I think then it's the same. And if you already got traction, got revenue, I will be jumping in. I will be often. Yeah. So if you already have all the check boxes, it's gonna be much easier because then I can help you to build up to grow, and then there will be a next investor in the investor relationship will be jumping in for the next round.
I think one of the biggest questions, if you were faced with investor at phase one, is for one, is your idea validated in terms of customer and revenue? Do you have revenue? In the past, you don't really need revenue, just need idea. Maybe they will invest in you. But do you have revenue? Meanings that people actually think that your product or service valuable enough for them to spend money, right? So that's the first proven point. The second proven point is if you do have revenue, how big is your market? So let's say you do have customer paying for your money, but then it's just people in RMIT spending money on you, then your market is actually very small. So your business have no scalability. But if let's say you are validated and then your product is so good that you have customer not only in Vietnam but also in all South Asia, then your TAM is your total addressable market is big enough for them to wow, is an idea. There's a big pain point. There's customer that is not only in Vietnam but also in further region. They will invest. Why? You have to think it from the mindset of investor. The investor want when it comes to VC, it's high risk, high return. I'm putting money in 10 company, expecting one company will make it. Okay. So meaning they already expect failure on 9 companies. So they expect the return at least 10 times, if not more, in order for them to recuperate all of their previous investment. So if they are doing high risk, high return investment, they need to know whether or not you are willing to work really hard on the things that are able to scale bigger. Okay. So that's the VC part.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question is how do you manage resources, your own mental health, and staying in the game despite of losses? Please share personal stories.
Oh, it's so painful.
Yeah, it's really a painful stuff when it's come to people and humans. It's quite complicated. You cannot go. But my best advice will be, sometime when you this communication skill and negotiation skill. So we try to avoid the situation where we have to directly confront each other. So instead, we talks about the works. That's why big corporation, they have policy. I don't argue with you on the personal stuff, but the policy, like the policy, we need to follow that. We still support each other. So that's the kind of the third party where we just try to blame the problem itself, not directly confront each other, right? Um, how you gonna manage the relationship? Sometimes too close, not good. Too far from your relationship with your employee is not good as well. So in particular level, it depends on how that personal style, the personal style of yourself can manage those kind of relationship.
So for me, startup break into two phases. The first phase is 0 to 1, when you have nothing and you get something. 0 to 1 is you driving the business, is you with your co-founder. So first lesson, find a really good co-founder. And this co-founder may not be the one that agree with you in everything. And you have to learn to live with that. And he or she should be your complementary partner. He or she should be able to challenge you when things are gray. So find a really good co-founder who complement you. And the two of you have to be almost like one with this unchangeable, freaking crazy goal. And you have to drive the business. You have to drive everything. You drive sales, drive marketing, because your resource is so little. You don't have good marketing people. You don't have good anything. So you have to drive it. You have to work 20 hours a day, and you have to really grind it out day in and day out for a very long period of time. When you make it to one, investor coming in, they start putting in money, you can start to grow. Then you have to deal with the second problem, second phase, which is from 1 to N, right? From 1 to N meaning that you start to have stuff, you have to start to learn to delegate, you start to build team, you have to learn how to build culture, and it's a different set of problem altogether. But you have to prepare your mindset that because you guys are still young, if you start, you are 0 to 1. When you hit 1, you will know. Someone will tell you. And when you hit 1, you have to be ready to completely change all of your previous belief again, to start scratch with the new people, with new team, okay, from 1 to N. But by that time, you have a lot of mentor. If you open enough, they will tell you, they will slap you in the face, and you then will like, okay, now I learn how to scale. So I think that's because I have to learn that lesson in a very hard way.
Mm.
Now, I want to share you a little bit a different perspective, right? I work in the crypto industry, and the industry work in the other way around, very decentralized. I think it's very good. So now, what happened when it comes to the startup and legal step that I help the startup? The big assumption is we find the right co-founder, right partner in life. Couple, we thought that we find the right partner, but who knows, right? So that's a big assumption. So what happened is we do in the decentralization way, in which we got the stock and the equity vest. It's just an agreement. And if you agree on particular milestone and you achieve the milestone, the KPI, and we vest the equity on that. And if you don't, then it's good, happy, bye bye, go. We find next one.
Thank you very much for your insights and personal stories. That was touching. And like you said, I mean, don't be afraid. Yeah, you fail, you get up, you do it again. Now, I'm sorry we cannot answer all the questions that has been sent to this. We got 18 questions, but we can do just one last one that has been screened by the team. Okay, so do you have any tips to utilize AI in the correct way so we won't be depending on it?
You won't be depending on it.
Yeah, like
I think you'll be depending on it.
yeah.
I'm depending on it already. I mean, why wouldn't you? If you have access to some of the most intelligent things ever on earth, you get to upgrade yourself so fast every day. You want to be independent with AI, meaning that you want to be able to keep a really open mind, and you have to be very curious because you're gonna use it every day to ask them almost anything. But you want to make sure that you don't bias with their answer. Why? Because you want to hear their answer and you think, oh, it's going to be so smart. But one of the way I do it so that I don't become so dependent on it is I use like 3, 4 different models. So I'll ask one model to give an answer. I take that answer, I throw it to the model. the different model and say, challenge this. And they will challenge the other model with different point of view. So your purpose is to get the most out of the intelligence. So you wanna challenge each intelligence as much as possible. And then you get out what you need, right? So you want to be independent in your thinking, but dependent in the way you utilize the tool. I think that's a good way to put it.
I want to advise you in a different way, right? So don't lock yourself in the comfort zone, because when you put on the term that dependence, you already make assumption on that. But your flexibility, right? Say if I in that, I depend on that, whatever definition of dependent means. If I haven't, I don't use that anymore. I can just got out of it. So that is the mentality you should have rather than being scared of being dependent.
So thank you very much, George and Daniel, for your valuable insights. And AI is reshaping the startup world in the way that we are um, just having to try and grasp and adapt on that. So for all of you guys, so remember to stay, we said, curious. We have to act urgent, like urgency. Yes, we have to act and learn and adapt. Right. So that's what you have to do. We have to be resilient. So it's okay to fail. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. And because the faster you can make mistakes, the faster you get back up. Okay. So this is for you to have a thought for tonight and start from today. Look at the tools that George shared and Daniel share with us and see which are the tools that you want to tackle first. Any tool at all. I think it's just a good kind of open up for you to understand and be exposed to AI.
Yeah, sorry. I want to say last thing. So I've been in this scene long enough, and I'm old. One of my partner also, he's a fund manager at a hedge fund, and this is actually a podcast that we do to get together. And this podcast is completely free. There's no asking for you to buy courses. We don't sell courses or anything. It's purely from a perspective from us. We thought we should share our knowledge, AI and investment, purely on that perspective. So you can come in there and check out our podcast, and you can actually every 2 weeks we'll run out one. We talk a lot, very in depth about technology and also investment. Okay, so I think it's very fitting with you guys.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, the two amazing guest speakers and also our moderator, Dr. Cherry. So now it's time to switch the gears and test your memory with a little fun. Please grab your phone. It's Kahoot time. Okay, and you will have we will have three, great, three students with greatest memory. Okay, and we will have three amazing gifts for you. Okay, small gift for you. Please scan their QR codes and join us on the on Kahoot. So I would like to ask our three winners to come on stage. Yeah. See, and Dr. Thương Nguyễn will. Yeah, yeah. Students. Yeah. First winner. Oh, okay, okay, okay. So now I would like to, yeah. So thank you so much. To officially close today's event, I'd like to invite on stage Dr. Thương Nguyễn, Interim Senior Program Manager of Entrepreneurship Program, to deliver our closing remarks. Thank you.
So everyone, just a few couple minutes to close the session. So yeah. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed the sessions. It's a great sessions, I would say. It's very relevant and contemporary. So we can see that AI has shaken many industry, disrupted and reshaped many industry, right? And we see that the competition rule is changing now. You see that then you have mentioned like, everybody could access now with the AI tool. So what is a key takeaway from the session that you can capture? I think that even though the rules is changing and very fast, the mindset remain the same, right? So being resilient, willing to take risks, having the courage, and also executions, for example, is the key elements. It still remain. We talking about that for decades about the quality of entrepreneurs. And also, I think key takeaway here is that from a positive side, if you see AI, it is a tool, right? It is a tool to help you to do things, but AI won't build startup by itself, right? People does, and in particularly entrepreneur does. So as entrepreneur, you need now to think about like the kind of entrepreneur who can ask better questions, right? Who can see patterns that other don't see, or who can leverage AI, right, to make something. Because I remember in the room, one of you say, oh, but if AI, can create the product, investor will not invest because it's for product from AI, but it's not true. It's also human. So I would say when you continue with this course, when you go forward and also to your life later on, have a question for yourself. What can you do better than AI? Perhaps not, but we still have that human touch, right? So what AI can help you to, what has been in the past not possible, but is now possible with AI, and how can you leverage from there? It's very important, and it takes your courage, your curiosity and mindset. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the session. So, I want to take the chance to thank George and Daniel for very insightful conversations, very also informative, right? And also thank you for joining the session. I see you enjoy it, right? And to stay this long. So, and thanks Justin for coming, and yeah, also the team who support the event. Yeah, thanks everyone. Enjoy. Have a good week ahead. We have a group photo. Maybe we do a selfie. Can you just sit and we do a selfie quick? Yeah? Yeah, this is otherwise. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Sorry guys, maybe let's give a gift also. Just a few seconds. Sorry for that. Daniel and George. Yeah. Maybe Justin. Right? Yeah. Okay. And yeah, Justin, can you give the gift? Thank you for that. Yeah. Just come.
Step in front, yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thanks everyone. Okay, chị.